Imagine you are typing a text message, just sitting there, but your thumbs are moving like a fraction of a second slower than they normally do.
Right.
And you're pressing the backspace key way more frequently. And, the specific adjectives you're choosing are subtly more absolutist than your typical vocabulary.
Like using words such as always or never.
Exactly. And before you even hit send, the operating system on your phone registers a 94% probability that you're entering an acute anxiety spike.
Which is wild to think about.
It really is. So without you asking, it seamlessly adjusts the lighting on your screen, subtly filters out high-stress notifications, and brings up a very specific contact in your favorites.
Yeah.
It didn't do this because you prompted it. It did this because it is constantly reading your digital topography. So welcome to today's deep dive.
It is a really striking scenario. And, I mean, the reality is we are already standing on the edge of it.
We really are. So today, for you listening, we have an incredibly dense piece of source material to explore. It's an AI Daily Digest report from August 16, 2026.
Right. A really fascinating report.
Yeah, and the mission for this deep dive is to look right past the standard headlines. We are dissecting a massive paradigm shift here.
Yeah.
Artificial intelligence is, it's moving out of the realm of the literal, the chatbot you just prompt for a pancake recipe, and it is rapidly evolving to become deeply entwined with our physical reality, our emotional states, and honestly, our very survival as a species.
And this is why it is so critical for you to understand the actual mechanics of what is happening here.
Yeah.
Because these updates in the digest, which, cover emotion recognition, natural language processing for mental health, vehicular telemetry, and agricultural optimization, they might read like 4 completely separate industry updates.
Right. They sound like different fields entirely.
Exactly. But they actually paint a unified and frankly rather staggering picture. We are watching AI transition from a mere computational tool into this intimate, intuitive partner in daily human life.
Okay, let's unpack this. Because the through line here is really how machines are bridging the gap between cold, hard data and, well, human nuance.
Yes.
And I want to start with the most intimate integration the digest mentions, which is how AI perceives us physically.
The facial recognition breakthrough?
Yeah, the researchers at the University of California have published this breakthrough in an AI system designed to accurately interpret human emotions.
Which really represents a profound shift in computer vision and acoustic analysis. I mean, historically, a computer only knew you were angry if you explicitly typed your frustration into a text field.
Right, you had to use an angry emoji or literally say, "I am mad."
Exactly.
But this system isn't waiting for a prompt. The researchers detail how the AI is actually mapping micromuscle movements in the human face.
Yeah.
It's analyzing the subtle hertz variations in your vocal pitch and mapping your body language cues. And they are pitching this to revolutionize customer service and healthcare by providing machines capable of empathetic responses.
Empathy at scale, essentially.
Right. But here's where I need to stop and ask about the mechanics. Like, how is it actually doing this? Because mapping a smile is easy, right?
Yeah.
But mapping complex emotional nuance, that seems mathematically impossible to me.
Well, what's fascinating here is it's rooted in something called facial action coding, but it's scaled up massively through deep learning.
Okay.
So instead of just identifying a gross movement like a smile, the computer vision models are tracking the precise millimeter contractions of the orbicularis oculi muscle.
Wait, the what muscle?
The muscle around your eyes.
Oh, like.
Yeah, and it cross-references that physical contraction with vocal prosody. So if the acoustic frequency of your voice tightens by a specific margin and your micro-expressions map to a known database of distress signal...
And it knows something is wrong.
Right. The machine establishes a highly probable internal state.
So it's reading the biological telemetry we were just constantly broadcasting.
Exactly.
But, I have to push back a little on the framing here. The researchers are using the word empathetic responses.
Yes, they are.
Can a machine actually be empathetic, or is it just calculating a statistical correlation? Because mimicking empathy without real intent, I don't know, it feels functionally hollow.
I hear that.
Like if a machine detects a furrowed brow and a voice crack and calculates an 85% probability of sadness, offering a comforting pre-programmed response isn't empathy. It's just a sophisticated mirror trick, right?
I totally understand the resistance to the term empathy when it's applied to silicon. I do.
Yeah.
But if we look at the clinical utility of this breakthrough, the philosophical debate about genuine emotion kind of takes a back seat to the functional outcome.
Oh, so?
Well, consider the high-stakes environment of healthcare triage, which is something the source material specifically targets.
Okay, put me in that environment. How does the mirror trick actually help?
Imagine you are in a hospital, you are in pain, you are frightened, and your cognitive load is just maxed out.
Right, I'm panicking.
Exactly. You are interacting with an AI diagnostic intake tool. Normally, you'd have to explicitly translate your complex, messy pain into literal data that a machine can process.
Like saying my pain is an 8 out of 10,
Right. And doing that requires executive function.
which you absolutely do not have when you're in crisis.
Exactly. But if the computer vision system detects the involuntary tremor in your voice and the micro-expressions of fear, it dynamically adjusts its interface.
Oh.
It slows its speech cadence. It alters its vocabulary. The functional outcome for you, the patient, is the feeling of being seen and accommodated without having to expend energy explaining your state.
Okay, I see.
The machine isn't feeling sad for you, but it is removing the friction from the interaction. It meets you where you are biologically.
So it shifts the burden of translation. The human no longer has to speak computer to be understood. The computer has finally learned to speak human biology.
Precisely. The system is absorbing the cognitive load.
That makes a lot of sense. So if we have AI successfully mapping the physical topography of a human face to decode an internal state, the natural next step in this digest is mapping the topography of our digital output.
Yes, moving from the physical to the digital.
Right. We're moving from the physical face to the digital text.
Because for a huge portion of human interaction today, the primary broadcast mechanism isn't facial expressions, it's keystrokes.
Yeah, we're always on our phones.
Oh.
Which brings us to the second item in the digest. It highlights a tech consortium rolling out new AI tools that utilize natural language processing (NLP) to detect signs of anxiety or depression.
And this is huge.
It is. And the critical detail here is that they are integrating these predictive models directly into social media platforms and messaging apps.
This represents a massive structural overhaul of how we approach mental health infrastructure.
Also,
They are utilizing continuous sentiment analysis on real-time text output.
okay, let's drill into that sentiment analysis because I have to admit I am highly skeptical of the execution here.
Fair.
The mechanics matter.
Hmm.
If I am in a group chat, the context is incredibly layered. We use sarcasm, we
Right.
quote movies, we use hyperbolic, absolutist language for comedic effect.
Right, like saying, I am literally dying right now.
Exactly. If an NLP model is just flagging negative vocabulary, it's going to misdiagnose half the population.
Yeah.
Doesn't that lack contextual nuance completely break user trust?
It would, yes.
If the system misreads my sarcasm as clinical depression, the tool becomes a huge annoyance, not a safety net.
That is the exact hurdle early sentiment analysis faced. It was essentially just basic keyword matching.
I was looking for sad words.
Exactly. But the models detailed in this consortium update aren't just looking at the presence of words. They are analyzing the semantic relationships between them using advanced transformer architectures.
Okay.
Furthermore, they are incorporating keystroke dynamics.
Keystroke dynamics, like how fast I type.
Speed, yes, but also flight time.
Flight time.
Yeah, the milliseconds between pressing one key and the next. And dwell time, which is how long your finger literally rests on a single key before letting go.
Wait, really? It measures that.
It does. The AI isn't reading a single sarcastic message and diagnosing you. It is establishing a longitudinal baseline of your unique digital telemetry over weeks.
So it learns my specific flavor of digital chaos.
It learns your baseline, yes. And what it's really looking for are statistically significant deviations from that baseline.
Okay, that makes more sense.
So if your dwell time increases by 20%, your vocabulary shifts toward more passive syntax, and your response latency in direct messages spikes.
Like I'm taking way longer to text my friends back.
Right. And if all of that happens over a sustained 2-week period, the model recognizes a pattern that is consistent with a depressive episode.
So it's looking for the statistical shadow of the illness, basically.
That's a great way to put it.
But even with that level of mechanical sophistication, is a messaging app really the right venue for this intervention? Feels a little intrusive.
To understand why they're integrating it there, we have to look at the scale of the mental health problem. The traditional mental health model is inherently reactive.
Meaning you have to seek it out yourself.
Right. It requires a patient to recognize their own cognitive decline, somehow navigate a Byzantine healthcare system, and explicitly ask a professional for help.
Which is hard, even on a good day.
Exactly. But depression is a disease that actively degrades the executive function required to seek treatment. The disease protects itself.
Man, that is a brutal irony. The people who need the help the most are biologically the least equipped to jump through the hoops to get it.
Which is exactly why moving these predictive models into the platforms where people already communicate is so vital. It bypasses those traditional barriers entirely.
Because it's already on your phone.
Right. It shifts the entire paradigm from reactive treatment to proactive prevention. The AI isn't waiting for a formal diagnosis. It is recognizing the pattern of the spiral.
And then what does it do?
It offers a subtle intervention, maybe a resource, a gentle prompt, or even a shift in algorithmic feed content, right at the exact moment of vulnerability.
Wow.
It's making care accessible on a scale that human therapists simply cannot match physically.
Okay, so we've seen how AI is mapping our internal emotional baselines and our digital footprints. But the real friction in the physical world happens when you take that emotionally volatile, unpredictable human mind and put it behind the wheel of a 2-ton machine.
Yes.
That's why the next step in the digest isn't just about reading us, it's about correcting us.
We are transitioning from the digital mind to physical world interaction, specifically the automotive sector.
Right, so the report details a major partnership between a leading car manufacturer and a tech giant. And they are embedding an AI system that utilizes vehicular telemetry, not just to optimize the engine, but to give real-time predictive feedback to improve human driving habits.
Yes.
And they are positioning this as the necessary bridge to fully autonomous vehicles.
It is a brilliant and honestly entirely necessary piece of behavioral engineering.
See, I read this and my immediate reaction was, this sounds like an absolute nightmare for the user experience.
Why is that?
Because you are basically installing a hypervigilant, algorithmic driving instructor in the passenger seat of every car. And humans have massive egos when it comes to driving.
We certainly do.
If my car says, oh, you braked 1.2 seconds too late, or your acceleration curve out of that apex was inefficient, people are going to want to tear the system out of the dashboard.
Oh, absolutely.
Driving is chaotic, and humans like to feel in control.
You are correct that the initial user friction will be very high. But we have to look past the immediate annoyance to the mechanistic goal of these tech giants.
Okay.
If we connect this to the bigger picture, they aren't building this just to critique your lane merges. The real-time feedback loop is an essential data gathering and training mechanism. And I don't just mean training for the AI model.
Wait, if it's not just training the AI, what is it training us?
Exactly. Look at the path to fully autonomous vehicles. The fundamental bottleneck isn't LiDAR technology or sensor fusion. The sensors are actually near perfect.
So what's the problem?
The bottleneck is the chaotic, unpredictable nature of human drivers sharing the road with the autonomous fleet. A machine expects mathematical predictability.
And we speed.
We speed, we roll through stops, we drift across lane markers because we are distracted by our phones.
Right. We are the ultimate wild cards in a system that demands order.
We are. So by installing these AI co-pilots that constantly critique and correct human driving habits, the system is acting like a fleet-wide immune system.
An immune system. Okay, walk me through that metaphor.
Sure. Every time a human driver makes an unpredictable maneuver, the AI logs that telemetry. It learns from the chaos, essentially building an antibody, which is new code that gets pushed to the entire fleet.
To prevent an autonomous vehicle from being surprised by that specific human error later.
Exactly. But simultaneously, the real-time feedback, the constant nudging, the subtle resistance in the steering wheel, the auditory alerts, it's conditioning the human driver to act more like machine.
Oh, wow. I see where this is going. It's subtle behavioral shaping.
It is domesticating the human driver.
That is a crazy way to put it, but it makes sense.
The machine learns our flaws and simultaneously trains us out of them. It forces humans into smoother braking, perfect lane adherence, and predictable acceleration.
So it's fixing the humans.
It is paving a standardized, predictable environment where autonomous networks can eventually thrive without the friction of human chaos.
That is a staggering insight. The AI isn't just adapting its algorithms to survive in our chaotic world. It is actively adapting us to fit its future ecosystem.
Yes.
We're being conditioned to be predictable nodes on the road.
It is literally the only mathematical way to scale autonomous driving safely. The human and the AI are co-evolving in the vehicle.
Wow. Okay, so we're conditioning humans to fit the machine ecosystem on the road. Let's zoom out one final time to the widest lens possible in this report. Let's apply that same principle of algorithmic optimization to the very foundation of human survival. We are moving from individual human transit to global sustainability.
Yes, the integration of predictive modeling in the agricultural sector.
Exactly. The final segment of the digest covers a massive surge of AI adoption in farming. We are talking about automated drones and soil sensors feeding millions of telemetry points into AI algorithms.
It's incredible scale.
Yeah, and these models then give farmers mathematically precise recommendations on planting depth, hydration levels, and harvest timing. The stated goal is to boost crop yields and minimize environmental impact to feed a growing global population.
Which is arguably the most consequential application of predictive modeling we've discussed today. The sheer volume of data being processed is unprecedented.
Well, let's get into the how of that data processing. Because farming isn't a closed system like a car engine.
Not at all.
It is entirely exposed to the chaos of the natural world. Weather shifts, pest migrations, soil degradation. How is a drone flying 100 feet in the air telling a farmer when to water a specific acre of corn?
It comes down to multispectral imaging and predictive yield modeling. The drones aren't just taking high-resolution photographs, they are measuring the exact wavelengths of light bouncing off the canopy of the crops.
Wait, why does light matter?
Because of something called the Normalized Difference Vegetation Index, or NDVI,
Okay.
healthy plants reflect near-infrared light very differently than stressed plants do. The AI can literally see the degradation of chlorophyll in a plant's leaves days or even weeks before that stress becomes visible to the naked human eye as a brown spot.
So it's detecting the microscopic precursors to failure.
Exactly. It spots a nitrogen deficiency or a microdrought in a 10-square-foot section of a 1,000-acre farm.
Just a tiny patch.
Right. And it directs the automated irrigation systems to target just that specific zone with mathematically precise amounts of water and nutrients.
But, this completely reframes the concept of farming. Historically, agriculture is defined by generational intuition.
Yes, very much so.
The farmer who knows the soil is ready by the way it clumps in their hand. The farmer who can literally smell the coming rain. If we are handing the operational control over to multispectral imaging and predictive models, doesn't that render the human element obsolete?
I see where you're going with this.
Like, are we just replacing the steward of the land with an algorithm?
That romantic ideal of the farmer connected to the earth is a really powerful narrative. But we have to look at the limitations of human perception. Generational intuition is profound, absolutely. But intuition cannot reliably scale to feed 10 billion people on a planet experiencing rapid, unpredictable climate shifts.
Intuition can't calculate the math of a global population boom.
It simply can't. And more importantly, farming based on intuition has historically been a game of high-stakes probability. One unpredicted frost, one localized blight that the farmer didn't spot in time, and that meant financial ruin or even famine. The AI isn't erasing the farmer, it is arming the farmer with almost godlike foresight.
It's giving them perfect planetary data to act upon.
Yes. The human is still making the final operational decisions, but they are no longer guessing. The AI transitions agriculture from a vulnerable dance with nature into a precise, sustainable science. It's the ultimate synthesis of human stewardship and machine optimization.
Man, when you look at the connective tissue between these four updates, the scope of this paradigm shift is immense.
It really is.
We've covered a lot of ground for you today. We started with computer vision, mapping our microexpressions to provide frictionless, intuitive healthcare.
Right.
Then we moved into natural language processing, analyzing our keystrokes to proactively catch mental health spirals before they deepen.
From there, we examine how vehicular telemetry is actively domesticating our driving habits to prepare the physical world for an autonomous ecosystem.
And we ended with multispectral imaging, turning the chaos of global agriculture into a predictable, mathematically optimized science.
It really illustrates the transition we discussed at the very beginning. The AI is no longer waiting for our input. It is anticipating our needs.
For you listening, this is the core takeaway. The boundary between human and machine is no longer a screen you tap on.
Exactly.
The technology detailed in this August 2026 digest is weaving itself into the literal physical fabric of your everyday life. It reads your face, it interprets your text, it corrects your driving, and it manages the soil that grows your food.
And, this brings us to a final lingering question, something for you to deeply ponder long after this deep dive ends.
Oh, I like where this is going.
As we've explored today, these models are stepping in to solve our most complex, chaotic human problems through perfect analysis. But if AI becomes the flawless, empathetic companion, the perfect driver, and the ultimate farmer...
What happens to human instinct?
Exactly. That is the real friction point, isn't it?
That is.
If we begin to rely entirely on algorithmic models to interpret the world, for us to tell us when we are anxious, to tell us how to steer, and to tell us how to survive, do we risk atrophy? In gaining a perfect, frictionless digital partner, what part of our messy, intuitive human nature might we accidentally leave behind?